Hey everyone, it's Mrs. McGuire from Utley, and today we're going to be talking about tableaus. So yes, this word looks a little crazy to pronounce, but it's actually pronounced tableau. And we're going to be talking about what that means today. I think you're really going to like it. This is building on what we learned last week with blocking. So let's go. So we'll start with the definition of what a tableau is. So by definition, it is the theatrical technique in which actors freeze in poses that create a picture of an important moment in the play. So think of a tableau as a living picture. That's how I like to think of it. It's when you have a group of actors, could be as few as 2, it could be 1, it could be 50. And these actors are frozen in a moment in the play. And with the positions that they're frozen in, it creates a story. It's not just, hey, everybody, 1, 2, 3, freeze. Everything is intentional. So let's take a look down here at this example. So as you can see, there are 5 people in this scene, and everybody in this scene is doing something completely different. Now, remember last week when we were talking about blocking, we talked about focus. So just right off the bat, I think it's pretty obvious to see where the focus of this scene is. And that's on this lady right here, who seems to be having not so great of a day, judging by her facial expressions, her body language. Pretty much everything about her is telling us that something is wrong. And then as we kind of make our way around the room, we can look at the other actors and kind of get some insight as to what we think might have been happening in this scene. So you've got this guy over here who I would say probably shares the focus with her. And let's look at his body language. You know, he's got a kind of a confused face. His arms are telling us a lot though, because this position does not really scream confident. This almost seems like he's worried and trying to shut himself off by the way that he's holding his arms. Then we've got this gal down here who doesn't even want to show her face, completely in the fetal position almost. Then we've got this woman over here who almost looks like she's fallen, but her focus is entirely on this woman. And then you've got Grandpa back here just kind of hanging out and taking it all in. So there are a million different scenarios of what we could come up with as to what might have been happening in this tableau. But the way they are frozen, the very act of that is what a tableau is. So when you're creating a tableau, there are a few things that you're going to do. So the first one, and this is the most important because if you're not doing this, then you're not in a tableau, is to remain still or frozen. This is going to be a challenge, I think, for a lot of you because we as a society, we don't like to sit still for very long. Well, in a tableau, you are completely frozen. You are still. The second one is to remain silent. You don't speak when you're in a tableau. You're pretty much a statue. So again, this might be a little bit of a challenge for some of you to be still and quiet. The third one is to pose with energy. So when we're creating tableaus, we're not just standing on stage, frozen with no facial expressions and not speaking. No, we are posed with energy. It's almost as if you were moving and then somebody just hit pause on their television and you're frozen in that particular moment in time. There was action going on and then there's a pause. That's a tableau. Not just a few people standing in a line, not moving. There's a big difference. The fourth thing is to pose with expression. So like I was just saying, you want to be able to show the audience the story that's going on within your tableau. And if you don't have expression, if you don't have energy, then you just look like, okay, well, did all those actors just forget their lines or something? You know, what's going on? Everything has to have intention in the tableau. Number 5 is to keep your concentration. You don't want to be that guy who's in a tableau who is getting bored, so you start to look around and everything is still, but you're over there with your shifty eyes, and it's distracting to the audience. So you've got to keep your concentration. You've got to remember, okay, why am I in this tableau? What is the purpose of the picture that we're creating? And you've got to keep that focus. The sixth thing is to pose at different levels. Now, we talked about how important levels are last week when we discussed blocking. Levels are very important because they tell us everything from a character to a relationship to just overall adding interest to the scene for the audience. So especially when we're working on tableaus, you want to try to see as many different levels as possible. And the last thing is you want to choose poses that communicate the tone and the mood of the text. So let's go back to this first slide. Now, we don't know what was going on in the actual scene itself with what was written, but just judging off of this actor right here, we can probably guess that her character at this particular moment was super upset. And we can get that just from looking at her. We don't have to hear her lines to know what emotion she is trying to convey. You can tell it from her head to her toe. Everything about her is giving us something to do with this character. And then over here, we've got another really good example of a tableau. This one's really pretty to look at. And the longer you look at it, the more detail you notice. So right off the bat, the focal point would be this guy, and that's for a few reasons. He's the highest point. They're in a triangle, so your eyes are guided upwards to him. He's also got his fist in the air. So he's our focal point. But then as we start to make our way down each layer of this tableau, we can notice more and more details that are a part of this particular tableau. Everything from facial expressions to gestures with hands to the overall body positioning that's happening right here. This is a very detailed tableau. Okay, moving on. So some questions that you want to ask yourself when we start to create tableaus, which we're going to do today and pretty much all week. So hopefully this makes sense. The first question you want to ask yourself is, where and how should I stand? Okay, your body is the foundation of your tableau. So it's going to be important that you know where you're standing and how you should stand. The second question to ask yourself is, what do I want the audience to think? What am I trying to convey to the audience right now in this particular moment? Number 3 is, what facial expression should I hold? Remember, it's not a deadpan. You want to have a facial expression. And even if that facial expression is something simple, you still want to have a facial expression that you are holding in the tableau. And the fourth question to ask yourself is, where should I place myself in relation to others? This one is going to be really important because depending on where you put yourself, that's going to tell a lot to the audience. So let's go over here and look at this picture. So our focal point is this actor right here. Now, she's not the highest point like that other tableau we just looked at, but a lot of things are telling us that she is the focal point of this particular tableau. Starting with the fact that all of these characters, every single person in this tableau has their focus on her. She's the only one that is looking out at the audience. We can also gather from the way that this is posed that she is probably some sort of queen, some sort of royalty, somebody of importance. We can also gather that maybe there's like a little bit of a competition between these other characters because some of them are giving her the side eye, some of them look happy. She's just kind of like, okay, I'm the queen. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in tableaus. It's not simply, oh, I'm going to stand here and just be quiet. It's you telling a scene without words. Okay, so I would like for you to test this out. Now that we've covered the basics of a tableau, which is that you are telling a story with your body, not speaking, and telling it in frozen pictures. I want you to look at this list. We've got 5 options, and I want you to think about if you were to create a tableau with maybe 2 or 3 other people, how could you position yourself to, for example, show tourists looking at a famous site? So let's say we're looking at the Eiffel Tower. How could we position ourselves to show that in a tableau? And how would that look different from maybe number 2, which is reporters and photographers who cite a big celebrity? You have to be specific. So I want you to take a second to think about that. And then if you are remote, I'm going to have you perform this on today's discussion question. You're going to submit a picture or video of yourself. And those of you who are in person, this is going to be your time to get with a partner, 3 people max, and to pick one of these to create. And then as a class, we're going to try to guess which one you did based on your Tableau. So don't tell your classmates which one you picked. The goal is that you have created a strong enough Tableau where we know which one you chose. Okay, well, I can't wait to see these. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.